Welcome to the Health Coach Nation podcast. My name is Hailey Rowe, and I'm a sales and marketing coach and LinkedIn lead generation service provider. I work with health, life, and mindset coaches and online service-based business owners to help them get more sales, shift their time to the client-generating activities instead of just the busy work, and overcome that social media overwhelm. Let's get into the show. If you've been working at your coaching business for a while, you might have found out by now that it's not as easy as you thought to get clients. If that is you, I want to invite you to check out my free workshop sharing how to go from crickets to clients, creating a freebie funnel formula. So in the series, I share with you how to make a freebie that people actually want, that they actually opt into, so that you can grow your email list, so that you always have an audience to share your offers with. And you always have an audience where they are being nurtured by you, they're moving through the sales cycle, and you're not stuck every time you have a launch feeling like you have zero eyeballs on your content. So if that has been you, if you've been stuck in that and you know you need a bigger audience, you know you need to nurture your audience, go to haileyrowe.com/live event, all one word, to get the free series and get started. I am live today with Jackie Cowie, and she is a mentor and healer who helps people decode every signal their body sends so they can live their divine purpose and remember their power and experience the prosperity that their work is meant to give them. She is the creator of the Energy Body Method and works with the Akashic Records to rewrite the limiting beliefs hiding in your body and secretly influencing your life. She's here to give you practical tools that you can use to implement immediately, and she is going to share with you how your medicine is more easeful, playful, and profitable. So that sharing your medicine is more easeful, playful, and profitable. Sorry, I misread that. But welcome, Jackie. We're excited to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. I love your work. I follow you on Instagram and absolutely love your work. So thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I want to just dive in and talk about these energy bodies you talk about. But before we do, I keep hearing Akashic Records, and I actually have a client who does that. And I know a little bit about it, but can you tell the listeners and myself a little more about what is that and where does that come from?
Absolutely. The Akashic Records are an energy field of information. So everything that you do and say and think, every intention is stored in the Akashic field. And that sentence tends to land differently with different people going, oh my God, everything? Or, oh yay, everything. So people use them obviously in very different ways. And the way I use them is to go in and find that point in time that created a limiting belief that is now stored in your body and influencing the way you think and the way you make decisions, the way you heal people if that's what you do, the way you run your business. It filters into your relationships. So with the Akashic Records, because it stores everything, you can go in, you can find that moment and you can rewrite it. So in kind of computing terms, it's like finding the bit of code that isn't working and just rewriting the code so that everything runs smoothly. And those programs that are running in the background are actually supporting the life that you're trying to create, instead of working in the background causing kind of interference.
Interesting. So one of the things that you talk about are these energy bodies. So can you tell us a little bit about what is that? And we'll get into that about, how it impacts our beliefs.
Yeah. The reason that I love working with both of them so much is because the Akashic Records is still very much someone has to come to me and we have a look. Whereas the energy bodies is something that you can do on your own. You can figure out, you can find, you can rewrite so many of these subconscious beliefs, the conditioning on your own using your energy bodies. So your body is literally a spiritual technology. It is just the most exquisite technology. And it's speaking to you all the time through 5 different energy bodies. They're actually layers of energy in the body. So if you imagine the outline of a person, that's your physical body, and it's the most dense layer. That's always going to speak to you in physical sensations, your pain, your discomfort, your stiffness, that kind of thing. So when it comes to running your business online, let's say, and you are creating a reel, for example, and you notice that while you're creating that, your body's really tense. Or if you can just pause for a second and just do a little body scan, you notice your jaw is really, really tight. So that is not the state that you want to be in when you want to be creating a reel that's joyful and playful and expressing from your heart and going to land with your ideal client. You want to feel happy and relaxed in that moment. So you would start to use your physical body and the signs that it's giving you to go, oh, okay, this is actually not relaxing. How can I make it more fun? How can I make it more me, for example? And then if you imagine the next energy body in is your energetic body. And the energy here is a little bit more subtle. So this is anything to do with your breath, because that's the next most tangible thing from, the movements your body makes is your breath. So same thing, say you are going to go live on Instagram, and you notice that you're breathing really shallow and it's really high up in your chest. Again, those kind of things signal to your body that we might be in some kind of danger, which is not the way you want to be feeling when you're about to go live. So again, when you notice it, you can pause, you can take a moment, you can start to take some deep breaths down into your belly. Let your body know this is safe. You're not doing anything dangerous. Nothing bad is going to happen. And the way you deliver that live is going to be completely different from the live if you just, went on while you were breathing high in your chest and couldn't catch your breath. The next energy body in, again, a little bit more subtle, that's going to be your emotional body. So you need to be really aware and really dialed in to your emotions so that you can catch this energy because it's so subtle. And these are obviously going to be all your emotions, all your thoughts. This is where all your analyzing happens, all your memories happen. So again, if you can catch yourself, things like my 2 favorite emotions are judgment and resentment. Most people just see those and they label them as bad emotions. But no emotion is good, bad, right, or wrong. They're all literally just information. So if you are agreeing to do something, for example, you've got loads on your plate and somebody says, oh, can you just also send this email? And you go, oh, yes, and you feel resentment. That resentment is actually a sign from your emotional body going, this is one of those instances where you should be saying no, because we don't actually have the energy to execute this. We don't have the energy, the resources for it right now. So the resentment is actually information showing you when to say yes. And then the opposite would be if it feels really expansive and joyful, then that is your emotional body saying, yeah, you should do this. This is in alignment with where we're going, our purpose. We've got energy for it. Go for it. And then the 4th energy body in is your wisdom body. So this energy is super, super subtle. It is always on. And this is the home of your intuition. This is where your downloads come from. This is where that idea that seems to come out of nowhere comes from. And like I say, it's always on, but usually we are just too busy doing too much, too perfectly to be able to hear it. So there are ways that you can access it on purpose so that you can stay in that flow state where you're being innovative and the ideas are coming and you're feeling creative. And then the last one is your bliss body. And that sounds every bit as gorgeous as the name suggests. It's that state of bliss. So imagine newborn baby perfect. A baby doesn't have to do anything. It doesn't have to fix anything or heal anything or figure anything out or chase anything. It is just perfect as it is. And that's the energy of your bliss body. It's that moment where you drive over the brow of a hill and the sun is shining through the clouds and it just hits the land so perfectly. Maybe you've got your sunglasses on, the perfect song is on the radio. And in that moment, it doesn't matter what chaos you've just left behind you. It doesn't matter what you're about to walk into. That email you got today is a distant memory. And in that moment, you feel so content. Everything is peaceful. Everything is perfect. You know that it's all going to be just fine. And again, there's ways that you can access that on purpose. But imagine if you could spend most of your day in that state. It would be awesome, eh? It would be awesome.
Yeah, 100%. It kind of reminds me of what is also, I've heard, called flow state, where like it feels like time doesn't exist and you're in the moment and you're just enjoying whatever it is that you're doing. So just to recap, you said it was physical. Can you rename the 5 or was it 6?
So physical, energetic, emotional, wisdom, and bliss.
I love it.
So once you know how each one speaks to you, you can start to catch yourself before you take the action. Because I've spoken to you and I think we both agree the energy that you're in when you take the action is so important. It really makes the difference in your results.
Yeah, 100%. And I kind of think, like I've noticed in my business, I used to get a lot of discovery calls and people who would like ghost or not reply or like just disappear. And I think it was because at that time, maybe there were things that I was avoiding or I wasn't showing up to. And as time went on, and I don't know what has changed specifically, so it might have been a subconscious shift, but I just don't have like people who ghost me really anymore. I mean, maybe rarely, but for the most part, it's like 0. It's either yes or no, and it's great, and it's all good. And so I think it relates to this thing you're talking about where you can have an energetic shift and you start to see your results change. So what could be an example that, you know, like let's say somebody listening right now is like, Jackie, I want to be getting more clients. I want more people reaching out to me, but I feel, and they're kind of letting their actions drive from pressure. Like I feel pressure. I got to get out there. I got to do this. I got to make money. We all know that doesn't work, right? But what can they do to start to intercept that with their energy bodies and start to turn things around?
Yeah, so pressure points to some kind of fear, some kind of lack of trust hiding in the body. So that is specifically in your physical body going to show up in the lower half of your body. So think about your low back pains, your sciaticas, any kind of foot and ankle issues. That is a sign that something needs to be cleared around fear and lack of trust. In your energetic body, it's definitely going to come up as pressure. It could also show up as irritability. You know, when you've got a really short fuse and you snap and you think, God, that was unusual. Where did that come from? Your emotional body, you want to think about the fear, the scarcity, the worry. Those are the kind of things that are going to show up in your emotional body. And then to switch out of that. So the first 3 energy bodies give you loads of information. and the next two help you kind of shift out of it. So if I was feeling pressure, I was thinking, I have to get this right. My livelihood depends on it. You're never going to create anything from your heart from that space. So, and I have been there. I have done it from that space. So my advice in that situation is just get up and go away. And your brain will start to say to you, no, we have to sit here until we figure it out. And one of the hardest things is to trust yourself in that moment that it's not all going to collapse. Nothing is going to just all fall away. It's not all going to come crashing down. And I tell people to go play, because that is where your wisdom body is going to be able to come through. 9 times out of 10, if you are operating under pressure, your brain is going to struggle to figure it out. But if you can take yourself out of that situation, go play with your child, go for a walk, go put your feet outside, whatever it is to take your mind off work. And you'll notice that the answer drifts in. And it seems like, the answer just came out of nowhere. It didn't. Your body let the answer come through because you let go of that pressure cooker. So in the moment, it feels like playing is the most irresponsible thing I can do right now because I'm supposed to be figuring this out. There's a lot riding on this. But when you understand why you're doing it, you will put your trainers on and you'll go for a walk. And you'll be walking down the road, you've got music on, you start dancing a little bit, the pressure eases and you go, yeah, this is what I'm going to write in that post. And you get home, you do it, and it takes, 2 minutes. What you're looking for is the difference between forcing it. Whenever I feel like I'm forcing, I back off. Now, bearing in mind, this is someone who forced so hard, my hair fell out. Like I burn out, hair falling out, severely dysregulated. So now when I notice the slightest hint of push, I back off. And when it comes easily, then I know that that is true and right and supportive.
I love that. Yes. How does somebody who's new, because one thing too that I see is like anything that's a little scary to you, that's not always a sign to not do it. Meaning, like, if you're starting a business, you're going to have to get a little uncomfortable. You're going to have to do things that feel like, ooh, this is like a little bit nerve-wracking. How do you know if it's something that's out of alignment versus something that's just scary because you've never done it before and that you should go forward with it?
It's kind of like working out in the gym. When you are lifting weights or you're running or on a yoga mat, whatever, and that moment where you want to stop, you want to put the weight down, you want to get off your mat, but you encourage yourself to just stay a little bit longer and you lift a little bit heavier and you run a little bit further. That's what causes the adaptation in your body so that you get fitter and stronger and healthier and all those things. So what you're trying to do is slowly increase your capacity for what feels safe for your body to do in a similar way. So if you're going from 0 to 100, your body's literally going to go, I do not feel safe. It is going to, shut down your brain. It's going to pump the brakes. It's going to make you want to run away. You're going to stare at your screen for hours just going, I suddenly can't talk, never mind create a post. So it's about doing something that is slightly outside your comfort zone, doing all sorts of, you can hug yourself, you can do the deep breathing, all that kind of thing to encourage your body, signal to your body that it's actually safe for us to do that. It's safe for us to do this. And then when you do the thing, allow yourself to take messy action. There literally is no such thing as a mistake. You are always learning something. And this was something that set me free. It was so liberating because I was terrified of making a mistake. It was a huge, huge thing for me. And when I just said, you know what, I'm allowed to make mistakes, I'm allowed to be messy. And every time I did, even if it didn't get me the result I wanted, I learned something. So there actually aren't any mistakes. And then when you've walked through it and you've done the thing, congratulate yourself. Like, really let that land. Don't just suddenly go on to the next thing. Really let that land in your body and go, wow, I showed up powerfully. I did the thing. I walked through that little barrier, and I'm proud of myself. And then on to the next thing.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's so important to not forget to celebrate. And I also love what you're saying about the mistakes. It's such a good reminder, because I think so many of us think, I don't want to get it wrong. And then they don't do anything. And then you can't learn and grow. So what about you? What's something that you had to work through in your business journey? I know you mentioned you burned yourself out, but what's maybe a specific belief you had to work through, and how did you do that?
I had many. I've got journals full of them. Every single one that I found using my energy bodies. It was a signal that I got from my body. And of course, because I work with the Akashic Records, I would go straight in there and I'd go, right, why did that happen? Where did that come from? And that was how I learned that all these subconscious beliefs were living in my body that I had no clue about. I had all sorts of ones, from the I can't make a mistake was a big one. And that went through my healing work and my business. So that was pretty exhausting, because you're trying to mitigate for every risk. You're trying to figure out everything that could possibly go wrong, what you're going to do if that happens. I mean, it's just exhausting to the system. The other one that was huge for me was believing that I had to do it all. I had a very, very big issue with saying no. My body believed that something bad was going to happen if I said no. So I kept saying yes to everybody and everything until I was so overwhelmed, burned myself out. I literally wanted to just run away, live off grid, and never see another person again. So I had to work through that one. And then I had just crippling self-doubt. Didn't matter how many years experience I had, how qualified I was, how good people said I was at anything. I never believed it. So that was another big one that I had to get over. There was a big belief that my worth was tied to my performance, what I earned, what I did for people. So disentangling that also was so liberating, so liberating. And then the last one, I was scared of money, literally scared of money. So I was lucky enough to make a lot of money, and I enjoyed that. But I was so scared of it that I kept deflecting it away in any way, shape, or form that I could. So those were the major ones that I had to work through.
Wow. Yes. Well, and that's probably why you're so passionate now about helping people with their limiting beliefs and finding out where they come from and working through it. Yeah. So if someone's like, yeah, I want to do that too, how can they connect with you and find you?
Absolutely. I am most active on Instagram, so you're welcome to DM me on there. And then I also have a membership that is specifically to teach people about the energy bodies. Like I say, I am more than happy to help people in the Akashic Records, but it's very important to me to empower people to be able to do this on their own. So I'll walk them through the specific emotions you're looking out for, the specific states. Is this making you feel open and expansive and light? Or is your body collapsing and contracting, and starting to use those? Because when you've been behaving and operating in a certain way for such a long time, those lines get blurred, the boundaries get blurred until you don't know, well, what is mine to do? When am I allowed to say no? It becomes very difficult. So you just let your brain relax. It doesn't have to figure anything out, and literally start using your body. It's a truth wand. It'll tell you the truth every time. Your brain will tell you what it thinks you need to keep you safe, but your body will tell you the truth. So you can start to use that and relearn where those lines are, so that you can stop the stress and the exhaustion and the self-doubt and all those things.
I love that. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of this with the audience today. And we appreciate you for coming on the show.
Thanks so much for listening to this podcast. And if it's really helpful for you, I'd really appreciate if you share it and or leave a written podcast review. This tells the podcast sites that our show is useful, and it will be promoted to more people that way. Thanks again.